Welcome to the A Pup Named Scooby-Doo talk. This video will have us talk about the show that told us about Scooby-Doo's adventures as a pup, alongside his usual friends. Yep, the gang is back together in this one. Well, the gang assembles in this one. Okay, the gang is already assembled by the time the show starts. Let's get on with it. I am Gibson Shamar and will be narrating the video as usual. The way these kinds of videos go is that I will talk about the character, then talk about the show as a whole, and probably offer some insight into the show to inform people of things that they may not have known about the show. So sit back, relax, and listen to me ramble about a show you've either only heard of but never watched, or watched but don't really remember much about. We'll start with Scooby-Doo. He's a Great Dane and can talk. He's brown with black spots. In this show, he's still cowardly and hangs out a lot with Shaggy. Unless it wasn't obvious enough in the previous shows, Shaggy owns Scooby. Scooby is a very resourceful pup in this show and can hold his own. In fact, due to the very wacky nature of the show, he's shown to be extremely rich, with a doghouse bigger than what I want my mansion to be in my wildest dreams. He also is a geek and likes comic books, especially Commander Cool and Mellow Mutt comics. Yeah, I guess he sees himself in those because of his friendship with Shaggy. We also learn that his name is Scoobert. His parents keep calling him that. Yeah, his parents show up in the show from time to time. Then we've got Shaggy. He's a geek and loves comic books. He lives with his parents and his baby sister and is the owner of a pup named Scooby-Doo. I think he's the only one apart from Scooby to be voiced by the same actor as the grown-up version. The impressive thing is that the voice fits. He's a coward in this one too and really buys into everything that's said about monsters and ghouls, even if they're just in tall tales. He never learns from all the times that he finds out that they were just people in disguise that maybe it's a good idea to first think about being scared and then being scared instead of being scared right off the bat. But then again, it wouldn't be Shaggy if he weren't scared, would it? Next up, Velma. She should probably be the last one in this list because of how silent she is. Seriously, she is so silent that in the first few episodes you could count the number of times she spoke. There was a point where even Daphne pointed out that she was surprised that Velma spoke, and from that episode onwards she started speaking more frequently than before. When she walks, her legs move very quickly. She's also the shortest of the group. Wow, I guess it never really changed for her when she grew up, did it? Well, she's incredibly smart and even has a computer which helps her analyze clues, which she carries around in a case everywhere she goes. Yeah, don't ask. It's some weird stuff. She's also the best detective in the group and the one who always puts two and two together. This show highlighted that she's the brains of the group. Then there's Freddy. Freddy. If there's anyone who apparently did a lot of growing up in the group, it was him. This is not the Freddy we're used to seeing as a grown-up. Firstly, he dresses like one of those anus rich boys who everyone ends up hating in the end. He's really not. The thing he is in this show is dumb. He's obsessed with conspiracy theories and never gets anything right when it comes to conclusions about the cases that they solve. He sometimes comes up with traps, but most of them fail and only succeed by accident. The plans are usually thought up by Velma, and he has beef with this guy called Red Herring. He always blames him for everything, even when he's not even in the episode. There was an episode where they called him out for that too and made him not blame Red Herring. Sadly for him, it ended up actually being Red Herring. Poor Fred could never catch a break. He also doesn't really show the leadership mentality or aura he had in the original shows. He does take charge, but that's pretty much all he does. I guess that's something. Last in the Scooby-Doo detective agency is Daphne Blake. She, like Fred, changed a lot when she grew up. She's a smug rich girl who cares more about how she looks than anything else. She's also very cynical and always talks about the monsters not being real because monsters don't exist. Sometimes she straight up confronts them because she's not scared of them. She does end up running away with the team when the occasion calls for it though. She leans heavily on the money fixes everything mentality and often calls her butler Jenkins to solve minor issues for her. Yeah, she's really a case. She isn't hateable, but she is very different from what we are accustomed to seeing from Daphne as a grown up. Lastly, we have Red Herring. We just had to include him because despite his minimal role, he appears in almost every episode. At the start, he was just a guy that was going around and would get accused out of nowhere. Eventually, he'd only appear in the end when they'd be unmasking the villains and Fred would accuse him, so he'd call, send a message, or break the fourth wall to say that it wasn't him. He's clearly a troubled kid because we see that he has a tattoo. I'm not sure what that was like in the 90s. Maybe kids were allowed to have those back then, but today that's not a thing for kids to have. His beef with Fred and why Fred always accuses him is shown in a flashback where Red was terrorizing kids in the playground in preschool, dressed up as a monster, and was uncovered. Fred then started accusing him of everything. Yeah, some things never change. So, on to the show itself. The show premiered in the year 1988 and ran for 3 seasons, totaling 30 episodes. It ended its run in 1991. The show is a refreshing take on the Scooby-Doo IP. Even the last show, The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, was a refreshing take. This one refreshes it again. We get to see them as kids. I'm guessing they wanted to bring it back to basics and leave it a bit more kid-friendly than before. This came with some weird choices. Making some of the characters different from their grown-up versions is fine and all. We all change as we grow up. No one today can say that they were the same 20 years ago. That would be weird. So, in that case, I don't think some of the characters being out of sync with what we see is a problem at all. However, I think that the whole approach to the making of the show ends up being a bit jarring. The show is wacky. People can get flattened, spin their legs like cars when they run, have outrageous cartoonish reactions, and the city's name is just odd all on its own. I mean, Coolsville? Oh, snap! How cool is that? They live in Coolsville. It's a city with the word cool in it. If you live there, you're definitely cool, a 9-year-old would say. I guess that's what the grand design was all along, right? I'd like to say that the out of whack changes were owed to most of the Hanna-Barbera staff leaving to create Tiny Toon Adventures, but they only left after season 1. The groundwork was already there. The replacements just had to pick up from what the prior team left. This was an era in which they were babyfying shows.
Isn't that cute? But it's wrong!
Even Looney Tunes was going through the same thing. Winnie the Pooh and the New Adventures of Beanie and Cecil went through the same thing. The producers wanted newcomers and people who were fans of the originals to enjoy the programming. It had a weird motive for being made. Apparently, there was a device called the People Meter, which measured the viewing habits of TV audiences, and preschool shows were failing because their audiences didn't know how to operate them. So they came up with the idea of babyfying characters that grown-ups knew and enjoyed in order for them to watch the shows with the intended audience. The more you know. Now, we have an online legal streaming that does the same thing without the audience having to work on any device. And if the show is popular enough, it keeps going. Wow, amazing. It's like poetry. It ages well. And it rhymes. The use of chase music also incorporates elements of breaking the fourth wall. The characters usually tell each other to start playing music in order for the chase to begin and for it to be entertaining for the audience. I guess it works. Each character has their own dance moves. The main characters perform the same dance moves in every chase. It's weird that the monsters agree to this. Yes, they really do agree to this. But then again, it's a cartoon where the cops don't stop kids from going after supposed monsters and grown people actually call them to help solve the crimes. It's a very interesting dynamic. The show gives up the grounded and realistic, except for the talking dog and Shaggy and Scooby's superpowers, for the really zany, crazy world that we end up seeing. I think it's an alright show and really gets kids invested in it. I like it, I was entertained by it, but the changes in tone and approach did rub me off a little differently. I understood what the intention was, but it didn't really have to go that far down the road to get the point across. Well, that's just how you get things done in the entertainment world. You fully invest in something so that if it fails, you never do anything like it again and say that there was no way to have made it work. Like, maybe correcting what you did wrong the next time around, not scrapping the thing altogether and blacklisting it. Yes, I'm talking about making Hal Jordan, Green Lantern movies, WB. I just had to get that off my chest. Thanks for listening, guys. I really appreciate it. Apparently, Scrappy-Doo wasn't in the show because the character had become polarizing and the people didn't want to see him anymore despite his positive reception when he first appeared, saving the show from declining ratings. I don't know, guys. Maybe he couldn't appear because he couldn't be born to a pup. I'm not a veterinarian, but I'm pretty sure pups can't give birth, and they certainly don't remain pups for like 10 years. So I don't get why that excuse is given, considering we actually see Ruby Doo in this show and she's a pup. That's right, we see lots of Scooby's relatives, except for Scooby-Dum, Dooby-Doo, Grandpa-Doo, and Yabba-Doo. I guess their owners didn't want to travel. It's understandable. We see new ones too. I just forgot their names. Scooby has an extensive family. Anyway, Daphne is still a redhead, but obviously not the type I like yet. But she's still cool. She's still cool.
Well, isn't that cute? Come on, I'll show you around. Ha! Thought I was gonna say it was wrong, didn't you?
I appreciate her sarcasm. I'm a sarcastic person myself, so I get her the whole time. I'd say that she's my favorite character too. She really is unbothered by so much around her, and it makes her sound kind of cool. She is annoying from time to time, but I like her when it comes right down to it. I don't know who'd pick Fred as their favorite. Good luck to those people. I don't have a favorite episode or a favorite monster. They were just, cool. The episode that stood out to me the most was the artist lady who was after Scooby. I remember watching that one as a kid. I remembered what she looked like. The music was also very 90s. Despite it being a show that started in the 80s, it seemed very 90s. Perhaps this was one of the 90s type shows, and it was back in the last couple of years in the 80s. I am lucky to have grown up watching these kinds of shows. I'm luckier still that I can watch them now and look back at the fond memories they bring. So I guess that was it for the A Pup Named Scooby-Doo talk. Nothing special here, no weird revelations, nothing of the sort. It's just a pretty chill show that was nice for its time. I will be starting Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated tomorrow, and that will be the last Scooby-Doo show that I will watch. The era of Scooby-Doo will be over for me. The shows that came in between Pup and Mystery Incorporated are of no interest to me. The shows that came after Mystery Incorporated are of no interest to me either. So, that will be the last chapter in the book of Scooby-Doo. It was a nice journey. Please check out our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and our blog. You guys will be in for some really cool stuff. Oh, and have a look at the rest of our channel. We have nice content here too. Have a good day.